Big news today. Before we get started, this is the XFL show is brought to you by Pretty Easy Podcasts. Pretty Easy Podcasts helping podcasters get their shows out there to their fans without ever having to worry about all the technical mumbo jumbo that goes into podcasting. If you or someone you know is looking to start a show, go to prettyeasypodcasts.com and get started today. Cheap, very easy, very fun podcasting the way it was meant to be. prettyeasypodcasts.com. Now let's get into the big news of the day.
This is the future. This is not the past.
The new XFL will kick off in 2020.
If you smell what the XFL is cooking.
It's still football, but it's professional football reimagined.
This is our moment, our story to tell. This is history begun.
This is the XFL!
Welcome, football fans, and this is the day we had to do a special live broadcast of This is the XFL show because we have a TV deal. I'm Alan.
I'm Vince.
And I'm Bryant.
And today the XFL finally announced its television partnerships, and boy oh boy are they rocking some people's world because they are nice. ESPN, Fox Sports, and ABC. It is going to be a hell of a year in 2020 because it is going to be so easy to find the XFL, and we're going to give you all the details behind the deal, everything we think about it right off the bat, initial reactions. Vince, Bryant, you saw the news this morning. What did you think right away? First thought in your head, Vince.
I was pleasantly surprised. I had a feeling we were going to get a big network, but I didn't know we were going to get two big networks. and we're also, the schedule is already outlined. I did not anticipate seeing that. I know exactly what time all these games are going to be. I know exactly what channel they're going to be on. They're going to be easy to find, and I'm very excited for it.
How about you, Bryant?
I'm gonna try to convey out to the millennials on the world. And my first thought, because I woke up, I'm on the West Coast, so it woke me up this morning, and I was like, "OMG! Wow, this is happening." The XFL got themselves a partner. Actually, they got themselves two partners, and they're ready to rock. It was just, you guys are gonna dog on me on like this, but if you remember correctly, the AAF did this like 2 days before their season started. So to see something like this impressive and so early. Just gets people more excited for 2020, myself included.
That is not a real business.
It's super exciting for people who maybe weren't even following on the road to 2020 yet. Today was a day that a lot of people, I think, got hooked or jumped onto the bandwagon because they see, whoa, this TV deal's for real. And let's break it down now. In case you hadn't heard the details behind it, yes, the XFL has their schedule out, their TV schedule already for games to be played on ABC, Fox, the main networks, and then on cable on ESPN, ESPN2, FS1, and one game on FS2. So let's talk about the exact details of all this. The XFL on television they're going to televise 2 Saturday games every week. The first game on Saturdays will be at 2 p.m. Eastern, and the second game will start at 5 p.m. Eastern. Sundays vary. Usually it looks like the games are starting around 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. and they'll the second game will start as late as it looks like maybe 7 p.m. They've got some flexibility there as well. There are also 2 Thursday games, primetime Thursday night football, XFL football on Fox on April 2nd, 2020 and April 9th, 2020. Back-to-back weeks at the end of the XFL season. Those will be 8 p.m. Eastern primetime games on Fox Thursday night XFL. So all in all, you're going to have 13 games on ABC, 11 games on Fox, 9 games on FS1, 7 games on ESPN, 2 games on ESPN2, and 1 game will broadcast on FS2. It's a multi-year deal with 24 of the games of the 43 total games on broadcast television. That's 13 on ABC, 11 on Fox, as I just said. That is tremendous exposure, as Oliver Luck says. And the details behind it as well, the deal itself, the networks, it's reported, I believe by the Sports Business Journal came out with it first, that the networks are paying for the production costs of the games, and that's the deal. So there's not a rights fee here. This is paying for the production costs, and the networks are going to be paying about, it looks like $400,000 per game. To produce one game, it costs that much. So you add that up among the 43 games, and it looks like the networks combined are going to be footing the bill for a little over $17 million for the season for all the games to be produced and televised. The playoffs are going to be a semifinal on Fox, a semifinal game on ESPN, and the championship XFL game will be on ESPN. The networks also are going to pick the announcers, and they have not decided who will call or produce the games just yet. But amazing news, interesting details in terms of the deal and picking up the costs, Vince. But you got to be impressed with the fact that the Super Bowl airs a week before the week one of the XFL on the same network. The Super Bowl a week later, Fox is going to air that, and then they're going to air the XFL 1 week later. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're advertising during the Super Bowl, you can't get much bigger than that. It's impressive, the schedule. It's impressive, the networks, but this deal that they got with the production costs, I feel a little questionable about that. First of all, I would have thought that these games cost a whole lot more than $400,000 to produce. And the fact that they're not getting any money for, above the production costs has me a little nervous, because what are you really selling here other than sponsorships?
And that's where the XFL is going to make its money. The sponsorships at the venue, the networks are going to be selling ad time. We'll see how it goes financially. Do you think, Bryant, maybe the AAF's failure maybe helped the networks negotiate that deal and not have to spend money on a rights fee?
I think so. The AAF's deal was never really clear to me. Maybe it did include some sort of production.
It was basically an infomercial, basically.
Yeah. So
the AAF was.
So the AAF had to pay for all those production costs, I would assume. I think the XFL. Look, you're right. You want to intake money, but when the NHL came out of their lockout in 2005, they weren't getting much for their deal either, and it took them a good amount of time to reestablish themselves. And that's a league that's been around for almost 100 years now, or over 100 years. So it's going to take the XFL some time to actually gain money. You're not going to just automatically assign a contract worth $1 million an episode, anything like that. But to get exposure like this, it's a wash. You don't have to spend any money to get this exposure. And now the XFL is going to be able to get some advertisers. They're going to get some eyeballs on the product, which leads to money in the stadiums. It's a good deal for the XFL for what they are, which is nothing. They are nothing right now. And now the deal, that they got. You and I, Vince, cannot you cannot talk to ESPN and get this kind of a deal today.
That's true. I guess I got to ground myself a little bit, and I can't have too high of expectations, for this initial deal. Do we have any information on how long this contract is for?
All we know is multi-year deal. I haven't seen a specific number on the length of the partnerships between the XFL, Disney, or Fox. But the fact that it's kind of flexible, it looks like on some weeks, like if you look at Sunday, March 8th. ESPN is airing an XFL game, the night game, at either 7 p.m. or 9:30. You've got some flexibility throughout the year, and the fact that Sunday XFL game at the end of the year, April 26th, the championship, it says it's on ESPN, but right under that, if you look at the graphic they put out, it says schedule subject to change. And that could mean, who knows? What if the XFL comes out like gangbusters, kind of like the AAF did, with a booming rating week one, and it maintains? You could see the structure and where these games air maybe change. Maybe the championship game does get moved to ABC, and that ultimately is more exposure, Vince, and the amount of exposure is going to translate to dollars eventually. Yeah, you got to temper your expectations in terms of a rights deal, especially with how these networks have been getting creamed by the leagues over the past decade with ridiculous rights deals, and we all know that bubble's bursting. So the XFL was kind of going uphill in that regard, because it's not. Maybe if this was like 8 years ago, they might have had a shot at a rights deal.
Well, you say that, but then you hear WWE getting paid ridiculous amounts of money for Raw and SmackDown. And that's not that long ago.
But those are guaranteed eyeballs, though, too, Vince.
Yeah,
I mean, this is. Go ahead. I mean, I was going to say, Alan, this is the XFL, and when I said the XFL is nothing, it's just in terms of they have no credibility other than the voices of Vince McMahon, Oliver Luck, and company. That's all the credibility, and that worked mightily for them. I will tell you that Vince McMahon's relationships with ESPN and Fox in these instances is probably something that helped them a lot in this deal. The XFL didn't really have much to stand by other than, like I said, Vince McMahon and Oliver Luck and company, and they took advantage of that, they being the XFL.
Oh, and it absolutely did play a role. I believe a lot of the quotes from the Fox and ESPN sides when this deal was announced were basically putting over Vince McMahon and Oliver Luck as, just key factors in why they believe in the XFL and why this is a good move for the networks, because the people that they're investing in and they're going to be dealing with, in Vince McMahon and Oliver Luck in particular, because of their track record. In terms of the wrestling getting the big TV deal, Vince, don't forget the Monday Night Raw TV deal. It's okay, but nothing compared to the SmackDown deal, which is on Fox. The Raw TV deal, a little bit left to be desired from the last go around. I just feel like these networks are a little bit smarter now when it comes to the rights deals they do. And this, I think, is perfect for an upstart league like the XFL and perfect for the networks. And I think it also shows that the networks are committed to promoting the leagues, which we've talked a lot about lately, and how we need the networks to really, invest in the leagues in terms of cross promotion, in terms of studio shows. And yes, we did hear that there will be additional, XFL related shows announced very soon for Fox or ESPN. They didn't specify which. But it's the commitments there from the networks, Vince, and that's the most important thing here. Obviously, the money would have been nice too.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. Vince McMahon, one of the, maybe the greatest promoter of all time. And this guy, he knows how to produce television, and he knows the costs of all these things. He knows how to make money. So he must, he wouldn't have signed up to do this if it wasn't a good deal for him, if he didn't think that this is something that's eventually going to prosper for him. And, I'm sure they had been talking about this for a long time. It's not like he just announced. It's not like he announced the league and then didn't start negotiating a television contract for another, several months. I'm sure that this has been in the works for a long time.
I mean, we've heard the rumors about ESPN and Fox for a while now, and now it's officially official, and it's amazing. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what other content. These are behemoths, ESPN and Fox. What other content are they going to be able to give in terms of XFL related shows, studio shows, podcasts, huh? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We are for hire.
XFL Live on ESPN.
Yes, and the cool thing is also the streaming rights go right into these two behemoths as well. Fox and ESPN will both stream through their platforms XFL games, which is just beautiful, easy.
Jake would not know the appreciation of something like that, but to have those two, because that's covering your cable cutters, right? Isn't that what that does basically? Any of these games that are on cable, ESPN, FS1, FSN1, FSN2, or ESPN2, now you have exposure to them because the cable cutters, they stream everything, and now you're going to have a good branch, and hopefully it's the same broadcast. Unlike other, the AAF had some weird silent broadcasts that nobody enjoyed.
Doubt that.
So I'm hoping that it's the actual the same broadcast. This is great. We can sit here and poke holes into this whole thing. And I've seen some. Maybe we'll do that on another episode. But right now, on the surface, this is about as good as you can expect the XFL. If not, this is better than their 2001 deal.
What holes do you have to poke?
I mean, I don't want to get into too much poking, but there's some, the questionability of like FS2, and
there's only
ESPN.
one game on FS2.
Yeah, only one game on FS2, only 2 games on ESPN2. I mean, they're on the heavy hitting arms of these networks. They're on ABC and Fox, and then they're on the big time cable channels.
Everybody carries ESPN, ESPN2, and Fox. FS1 nowadays. FS2 is not available on Xfinity, but is available on Fios and I believe most other providers. But there's only one game there. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if FS2 is on more cable providers than CBS Sports Network.
That's a good point.
That's possible. That's possible. It's not like they came out and said, these games will only be available on FS2 and ESPN News. They didn't say that, although it does say card subject to change. But they're not saying that right now.
I would say that the schedule we're looking at right now is worst case, and that's a pretty good case.
Worst case?
This is worst case, meaning that if the card was subject to change, it would go to a better network, meaning it would go to ABC or go to FS1 instead of FS2, things like that. I think part of the deal, it's similar to the NHL deal where the Stanley Cup final, I believe, the first 2 games are always on NBC Sports Network. It's just to get more exposure. So FS2, ESPN2 might be just to get some eyeballs on those networks so people remember that they're around. And that was just part of the deal, right? You are on FS1, but we're going to throw one game on FS2 in the Saturday night game on March 14th just to get a little bit of eyeballs. You know what I mean? And then that's what's going to happen. I'm more excited. These Thursday night games I'm excited for on Fox. That's going to be a huge, huge deal weeks 9 and 10.
And let's hope they're flexible. So, if we've got, it's the last 2 weeks of the year. So if we've got marquee matchups, we can move those hopefully with enough time. But I don't know how much notice you'd have to give the teams in the XFL, to switch it to a Thursday. That's a big jump. The other interesting thing here, I want to know who, Vince, I want to know who you'd pick because the networks are picking the announcers and the production of these games. Who's all going to be involved. Say you're the head of Fox or ESPN. Who from those rosters, who are you putting on XFL games? Are you going out of house, or are you going with someone who's already there?
That's a very good, very interesting thing. I will say that I'd say probably with both of these, I would say, I would use a lot of the college football crowd because this is an off season for them. I'm sure some people don't want to give up their vacation, but
I'm asking you this question just so you could tell me Gus Johnson, please. Gus Johnson.
Gus Johnson's calling a lot of college basketball for Fox during those times, so I don't know if you will necessarily get him all the time.
Well,
certainly those Thursday night games on Fox, he's available.
Then. But
you think about it, those would be good guys, especially ESPN could probably really tap into this because, if you're talking about a lot of young players that started in college and then either fizzled out or weren't quite NFL material, they have the background on those players and they'll be able to bring a good insight to the broadcast. That's where I would look first of all.
Do you think Lee Corso would take time from playing golf to call some spring football?
I don't. First of all, I'll say that I don't think he'll be awake for some of these later games. But I don't think that's his bag anymore.
I'm loving the 2 p.m. start times on Saturdays. That's going to be really fun. Saturdays
how do
are going to
people
be
on
really
the West
great.
Coast feel about this?
Well, it's okay by me because look, we had proposed earlier that we wanted one game on Saturday and then a slew of game on Sunday, just because now you are committing 2 days to the XFL, your 2 whole Saturday and Sunday. But as far as the 11 o'clock, I mean that's more in line with what the NFL over here starts at 10. So starting at 11 gives you a little bit more time, gets your breakfast in, get your morning walks in, do what you got to do, and then that 5 o'clock game. If we're listening to Oliver Luck, you're out to dinner by 7:30. So it's perfect for the West Coast, if you ask me. I know the East Coast it kind of takes your entire afternoon and evening off the table, but regardless, if it's football, if it's entertaining, and if it's on ESPN and Fox, you can go to your local, bars or whatnot, bar and grills, and check these games out while you're there as well.
Hey, you bring up a good point because, come on, all XFL games, let's face it, all of them will be on in every bar in the United States now because they're on these channels.
Because people throw on ESPN, right? They don't care what's on it. Hey, throw on ESPN. There'll be something on there. And look, boom, XFL on Saturday or Sunday evenings, Saturday mornings, things like that. That's huge for.
Do you know how many bars I've walked into where I've had to request a hockey game be put on because nobody leaves on NBC or NBC Sports Network? Every bar is ESPN and or Fox, and that's it. And these are who you want to partner with because you get in the bars, Vince, and you're a sport, and that's how you grow. Those AAF games were hardly on in any bars.
Yeah, homes, it was on, TNT and where Bleacher Report live streaming or who knows what.
It's so. Look, the XFL has done their due diligence on everything, and this is just another step in that direction of success. And the AAF, I don't know if the XFL learned from the AAF. Or if the AAF just didn't know what the heck they were doing. Because it seems like something like this you had to have in the works for quite some time. And seeing how of a disaster the AAF's TV schedule was, the XFL had to have had some plan in place based on that. I would hope so beforehand.
Yeah, but Mr. McMahon had this. He was negotiating this for quite some time. I promise you that.
We've had Oliver Luck basically saying for the last 2 months the deal's almost done or it's going to be announced soon. So they were just picking the right moment. I guess we could end on the announcement itself. We didn't get any kind of grandiose, fireworks and a big press conference, Vince. It was just a tweet this morning that I saw, some emails, and the website posted the press release, and that was it. And now we all know they didn't really make a huge deal out of it.
Which I'm okay with. As much as I would have liked to see Vince McMahon just on a stage announcing Week 1, Saturday, February 8th, 2 p.m. ABC.
Maybe he's gonna wait until the team names are announced. Maybe that's maybe when you save that kind of big announcement. Maybe for the team names and colors in each city.
Well, we got a lot of information. I really honestly expected just to say we were going to have ABC, ESPN, Fox Sports
that's right,
as our partners to get a full schedule. The teams aren't included, but to understand when these games are going to be, what times are going to be. I mean, honestly, I'm a little hurt because now that kills any type of discussion we could have on our show about when we think these games were going to be on. We now know when these games are going to be on and what channels they're going to be on. And the XFL just let it, just put it out there, let it marinate. People will gravitate towards it, and now the XFL is probably at least trending worldwide on Twitter for the first time maybe in their entire existence.
And it's cool to see that. I'm guessing because ABC and Fox are the Saturday slate most of the season, those will be your more important games, your more calculated matchups. I mean, if you're gonna pit. Let's say, a matchup we've already talked about, just knowing the cities themselves, LA versus St. Louis, a grudge match there, Vince. You would definitely put that kind of game on a Saturday, right?
Is that the first game on February 8th at 2 p.m.?
That sounds like a bonus Patreon episode, to be honest with you guys. That's what that sounds like.
I mean, I've already said that I think that should be the first game of the year. LA and St. Louis. I mean, it would be very, very electric in that building. But it looks because the bigger networks are the Saturday games, right? Those are going to be the prime time, the prime games of the week.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, there are some Sunday Fox and ABC games out there, but Sunday afternoon television is probably a lot more premium, I guess, harder to get. I mean, Fox, we discussed, they already have a deal with NASCAR, so they're going to be broadcasting on Sundays, so they were probably out. ABC, they could have, some sort of golf or X Games or some nonsense like that. But those Saturday, that's what was available. That's what people were after. And Fox, I'm kind of surprised. Fox, huge day for college basketball in the men's division, and you would think there'd be a lot of big games on Fox at those times, and yet 5 o'clock you're going to be watching. You're not going to be watching college hoops. You're going to be watching the XFL.
Football is king, baby. The XFL teaming up with ABC, Fox, ESPN, FS1, one game on FS2, and oh man, we've got a lot more to say on it, and we will this week on the regular show, but we had to put this bonus show out there for all of you. We appreciate you on the hanging out with us on the road to 2020. Now we know what TV stations to set our DVRs for. This is a big stop on this road, Bryant. Here we are, and everybody's already reacting to us on social media, and like you said, it's trending on Twitter, the XFL.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys bearing with my my quality today. I had to stop what I was doing to jump on, but this is an exciting day for the XFL. Just another great stop on the way to 2020.
Stop what he was doing. He was sludging home from his bachelor party. Who knows what kind of shape Bryant's in right now, everybody. But this news was too big for him to miss a special bonus show. Look for Jake's reaction. If you're a fan of the show and you love Jake and his kookiness, he's gonna give a special reaction, I believe, on Patreon this week. We'll get him. So check it out. Of course, the Patreon's there for anybody who wants to give and help us. That really goes a long way in getting us to be able to do more content, which has been huge for us lately. And we're gonna have the regular show, which will be a big fat regular show this week, because we're all gonna be on. We're all gonna be talking about this huge news. XFL to air on ESPN, ABC, Fox, and the Fox Sports cable channels. Vince, you got anything left, man? Are you good?
I'm pretty good on this. I just want to stress to all the listeners out there, remember, the XFL is listening. You wanted big-time networks. They gave it to you. Keep voicing your opinion.
Yes, keep voicing your opinion, and voice your opinion to us. Give us a follow on any social media of your choice at XFL Show. That's Facebook, Instagram, and, of course, Twitter. Hey, if you want to call in and be heard, you could actually talk and leave us a voicemail. We'll air it. 724-565-4XFL to get in on the XFL fan line. So the huge news is out. We know the TV deal. I guess we need to know some players pretty soon. Join us this weekend, Sunday. Full episode will drop. Until then, for Bryant and Vince, I'm Alan. This is the XFL Show. Tell them, Vince.
Remember, they're listening.